The team of professionals abduct a 12-year-old girl for ransom, but they didn't know that her family was not only rich and powerful, but there were mysterious stories about the town about them for years. What happens is nothing short of thrill, horror, and mystery. Abigail is an expert ballerina dancer. She practices in the studio while Joey eats candy and sits in a car with two men. Joey makes sure her revolver is in the bag and two syringes are filled. On the other hand, a man jumps inside a house as per plan. He monitors the surroundings while his companions in the car hack the house's security cameras and disable the locking system. Meanwhile, Abigail finishes the dance and sits in the car with the chauffeur, and Joey tells everyone that Abigail has started towards home. They break into her house before her arrival and plan to hide at suitable spots. Joey learns for the first time that their subject is a 12-year-old girl. She does not want to do this, but since Abigail's car has already entered the house, she hides in the room. Abigail enters as she talks to someone, but soon she senses the danger around her. She hangs up the call and pretends as if nobody is there. But at the same time, two men throw her on the bed. Before she could resist, Joey inserted the needle of the syringe, and Abigail fell unconscious under the effect of the sedative. They pack her in the bag, but Abigail's father's car enters from the front gate. They run towards the gate, and suddenly the walkway lights up. They hardly make it to the front entrance, enter the van, and run away. Joey makes sure Abigail is unconscious and puts blindfolds over her eyes. The hacker girl points out all the cameras in the city to avoid any detection and suggests suitable routes. The driver sounds immature, but he is an expert in driving away the car in difficult situations. Hence, without any goofs, they reach the big abandoned villa in the middle of the night. When their boss Lambert is already waiting for them, he instructs them to handcuff Abigail, keep her blindfolded, and appoint only Joey on her surveillance. At the same time, the others are supposed to stay in the house for the next 24 hours until Abigail's father gives $50 million as a ransom for his daughter. No one can reveal their face or real identities, and they will split up after the job. He gives everyone temporary names too. Only Joey wants to know who Abigail's father is, but Lambert does not tell her anything and takes away their phones for the next 24 hours. After Lambert leaves, they enjoy drinks and the food in the kitchen, while amateur Dean wants to know about everyone, especially blonde girl Sammy. He even makes wrong assumptions about Joey's real identity. But Joey accepts Frank's $100 challenge to make the best guess about him. Surprisingly, what she tells startles Frank, as she assumes he was a former detective who joined the robbery for power, freedom, and thrill. She continues to tell Peter that his father in school abused him, and now he has become an abuser himself. She guessed Sammy was a rich girl who joined the robbery as a hacker. At the same time, Wrinkles looks like he was in the army. Finally, she does not think Dean is a professional. Instead, he is a sociopath. After her surprisingly accurate guesses, as she turns around to go, Frank stops and tells her that she looks like a junkie, and as a cop, he can smell a junkie from afar. Afterward, Joey goes to take a look at Abigail with a covered face. She finds her in distress, removes blindfolds, and adjusts handcuffs. Inquisitive Abigail ensures that they would not harm her. Joey's friendly behavior encourages her to know her and her son's names. Joey does not know the actual name, but she is startled to hear that Abigail's father is not interested in her. She insists that he might not even come or give money. Abigail apologizes mysteriously for what her father will do to them in the next 24 hours. Worried, Joey returns immediately to the hall and reveals to Frank that she thinks this will not be simple and that they must know the name of the girl's father. Frank pretends he doesn't care about Joey's wild goose and goes to Abigail's room. He does not know that Joey has removed Abigail's blindfolds. Hence, she looks at his face. But at gunpoint, amid tears, Abigail tells him that her father's name is Christophe Lazare. Frank gets terrified to hear this and returns to the hall to announce that he is backing off and leaving the house. Because Christophe Lazare is a famous antichrist, and he will surely kill them. Peter suggests that they should kill Leave or kill Abigail. That is the only way Lazare would not reach them. Everyone agrees to kill Abigail, but as they do so, Lazare will surely kill each one. They finally decide to stay vigilant throughout the night and disappear with the money they will get from this task forever. Joey, Wrinkles, and Frank decide to guard a few areas. Joey discovers the extensive library in the house and listens to the sounds coming from the other side of the door. Wrinkles opens the door and promises to team up with her as a professional through the task. On the other hand, Sammy switches on the TV in a room when suddenly a man sitting in the dark makes a weird sound. Dean pranks her, but she hates it and throws him out of the room. Drunk Dean makes a dirty sign on Peter's face and keeps moving to look at the house. He finds Abigail's picture on the wall with her father. He keeps looking around and reaches a dark storage room. There were rats on the floor, and when he turned around to go, someone pushed his legs. He tries to save himself and screams very loudly. Sammy hears the noise and follows it. She reaches the same room, but this time she finds nobody. As she turns back, she finds Dean sitting on the chair. Sammy puts her hand on his head and it falls to the floor. Hearing her screaming, Peter runs to help and gets terrified to see Danny's chopped head. He rushes to fetch everyone else, and as soon as Frank looks at Danny's corpse, brutally murdered as an animal did it, it's specifically Lazar's murder style. Wrinkles was reassured as he heard that once, to take revenge for his companion's arrest, Lazar killed 12 FBI agents in the same way. They agree to look for Abigail since it's evident that Lambert will not save them from the unknown monster here. Before they reach Abigail's room, Wrinkles declares that he is giving up and leaving the house without any money to save his life. He rushes towards the previous open main door, but now a robust iron cage is covering the front. No matter how hard Peter tries to open it, it does not. In the next moment, the wooden sliders cover the cage from every side, making the house look like a trap. Looking no other way, Joey runs towards Abigail's room to seek help to save themselves from her father. But amid tears, Abigail lies that Frank is Lazar's companion, and he hides it from everyone. Angry Joey believes what she said and shares it with Wrinkles. They both promise to look for each other and guard different sides of the house to protect themselves. Suddenly, Joey hears a strange voice from Wrinkles' room and finds him unable to speak, bleeding terribly from his mouth. Butcher in Lazar's style. He dies there and Joey runs downstairs to confront Frank for his lies. But he puts his gun at Joey and insists that Abigail is lying to turn them against each other. Therefore, they decide to kill the girl. But Joey disagrees. Without further delay, Peter takes the task of killing Abigail and runs towards her room. Joey, Sammy, and Frank follow him. Abigail pleads with Peter to put his gun down, but when he does not listen, she removes her handcuffs and frees herself up. She reveals her face as a vampire, but before she can do anything, Frank shoots her in the forehead. But she gets up the next moment, and everyone runs out to save their lives. They start thinking of a way to get out of the house, but knowing that it's locked from each side, they start thinking of a way to get rid of Vampire Abigail. From the movies, they know that vampires hate sunlight, get killed with a pointed stick, and are afraid of garlic. Hence, each one of them runs to fetch these items for their safety. But Joey wants them to trade Abigail with Lazar in exchange for their life, which Frank does not agree with. They enter Abigail's empty room with the pointed sticks in their hands. Suddenly, they hear the sound of the music and follow the sound. Abigail dances but attacks with all her might. Regardless of the garlic in Sammy's hand, she throws her. She repeatedly pierces Peter's chest with a pointed cross and injures him badly. Turning towards Frank, Abigail snatches the pointed stick and inserts it into Frank's leg. She does not want to kill any of them yet and let them go. They join Joey sitting in the hallway, confessing that none of the vampire-killing tactics worked. But Joey knows for sure that the soothing injection worked on Abigail. Hence, they plan to look for Abigail in the house and chase her closer to Joey, where she will inject the sedative. Sammy looks for Abigail on the abandoned side of the house and suddenly a bat strikes her. She falls behind in the pool, and the next moment she screams to find that the pool is full of dead bodies. Hearing her scream, Joey follows her while Abigail finds Peter and runs after him. Joey assures Sammy is fine and begins following Peter. While Abigail chases Peter upstairs, Frank rushes him downstairs. Frank brings her downstairs, and needles fall away as soon as Joey tries to insert in Abigail. She hardly picks it up from behind the bars and sedates Abigail. While struggling to save Frank, Abigail bites on Sammy's arm. She is terrified that sooner or later she is going to become a vampire. They put Abigail behind the iron cage, but when she regains consciousness, She teases Frank by revealing that he worked for her father. Telling Sammy's real name, she admits she stole money from her wealthy parents' bank accounts. Peter deceived the family, where he worked for little money. Frank is a power-hungry person who gets bored working as a cop and goes undercover to enjoy boundless power and privilege. He killed Lazar's companions. Joey became a junkie after she cut the vein of Abigail's father's friend and abandoned her son to his pathetic father. Abigail trapped each one of them here to earn her father's favors. Abigail plays with their minds by offering to tell them about the escape door, whoever unlocks her. Peter tries to unlock it, but Joey puts a bullet beside his stomach. She asks Frank to look for Abigail and takes Peter to put a bandage on the wound. Meanwhile, Abigail breaks the lock and attacks Frank. At the same time, a sharp beam of sunlight falls on her hand, chipping it off. Leaving screaming Abigail behind, they run to the library. Frank picks up the book Abigail told him to unlock the secret door, but she makes a fool of him. To run away from the house in daylight, Joey tries to break the wall, but it is futile. She sits down with Sammy, telling them that she will reunite with her son and reset her life as she is clean now. Frank mocks her, but they plan to unplug the power. Sammy goes with Peter and Frank with Joey. Sammy is afraid of light as she thinks that Abigail's bite will turn her into a vampire sooner or later. Sammy and Peter reach a dark, dusted room to find the power source and promise to save each other in the house because they want to reunite with their loved one. Suddenly, Abigail turns on the music, and in the tone, she conveys to Sammy a message that she is enslaved. It magically turns Sammy into a vampire. Hence, as soon as Peter turns to find Sammy, she attacks him and sucks blood from his body, making him her first victim. On the other hand, Sammy acts as Abigail's slave and dances as she dances, but her body burns in the sunlight. At the same time, Frank and Joey find her acting weird as she sits beside Peter's corpse. Joey runs to save her life and stands under the sunbeam. Before she can turn them into vampires, Joey throws the intense sunlight using a metal tray, shattering Sammy into fragments. Joey and Frank once again start looking for Abigail, but surprisingly, they find Lambert inside a room monitoring their movements around the house with many screens. He grabs Joey's neck and tells Abigail to turn him into a vampire, knowing that he helped Frank, who is her father's enemy. She bargained to bring her father's enemies here in exchange for the safety of Lambert's family. Now he offers Frank to help him kill Abigail. In exchange, he can get anything he wants from him. He does not help suffocate Joey and accepts Lambert's offer. Meanwhile, Joey falls, getting breathless. In the next moment, Lambert makes Frank a vampire by biting and dripping his blood in Frank's mouth. He vomits a lot of blood, and Lambert urges Frank to turn Joey into a vampire as the first victim. But before he could say anything else, Frank inserted the pointed stick in Lambert's chest. He dies, and terrified, Joey picks up the stick to save herself. Meanwhile, Abigail enters, and Frank grabs her to suck the blood from her body, leaving her faint. Joey immediately presses the button to unlock the doors and escape the room. Getting away, she grabbed the phone and left a message on her son's phone that she loved her so much. At the same time, Frank finds her calling and throws her inside the library. He enjoys the immense power of a vampire and throws Joey down from the upper floor. Suddenly, Abigail grabs her, saving her life. She whispers to Joey to help her kill Frank in exchange for her freedom. Frank attacks Abigail, and Joey helps as promised. But Frank pierces the stick in Joey's shoulder to restrict her to the chair. Then he sucks the blood from Abigail while she reminds Joey that she promised to protect her by lifting her pinky finger. Frank sucks blood out of Abigail and brutally removes the stick from Joey's shoulder. He licks the oozing blood from her shoulder. Now he wants Joey to grab the stick as his slave and kill Abigail. She pretends to obey but once again attacks Frank. In the struggle, Abigail throws Frank down and tries to pierce his body with the wooden pointed stick. He is about to throw her back when Joey helps Abigail in killing him. They insert the stick and Frank's body is scattered everywhere. Abigail thanks her for saving her life and allows Joey to leave. Suddenly, Lazar is about to suck blood out of her body when Abigail warns him to stay away, as she is the one who saved her when Lazar was not around. Joey gets out of the house and leaves the premises in the van,